Guess the Channeler turn 2 if we miss. I think the Temur Sabretooth combo is pretty cool. I think I would probably not play the second Silverback Elder though. I think 1 as a core target is ambitious. Probably not like actually good, but like fine. Okay, kind of now I wish I had held this Fury, huh? If they're up against 8 whack. Hold on, let me not keep that because we have 2 blue cards in our hand. Probably weird for them to see me putting a land back. I am gonna attack though. If I can find Delirium, then I just have them, I guess, almost jump blocking, not quite jump blocking. Yeah, I think I'll just get both Mirror Breakers for 4th Chord, 4th Company. Got the Clothes for Visionary. Got the second... I think I would cut the second Silverback Elder for a Red and 6. The first copy of Red and 6 should be like relatively free, although... You could play more also. Oh, they Goblin Grenaded my Fury. Okay, I wasn't expecting that. They also are stuck on 1 land. What a weird game. Goblin Ruin Blaster is really cool, but notably, I don't actually believe... Wait, hold on. Does Prodigy double it up? I guess it does. It's Fulminator Mage, it doesn't double up. Right. It's kind of mana intensive, but cool. I think I would not play Vexing Shusher. I'd play the second Veil instead. Just way too slow. Against like Murktide, it's just so boltable too. Ooh. Okay, I'm just gonna hold up the Drown this turn. Cool list though. Very cool list. I like getting access to a combo finish in this archetype. I think that is definitely something that it seems like you're interested in. Okay, now an unboltable channeler. Stormic 4 months. So many subscriptions today. I do appreciate it. It's like always very anxiety inducing to take this many days off as a streamer, but I feel very lucky that I now feel able to, when for years I didn't feel able to. I think I'll keep another channeler. Not that we find. Ooh, let's take a Squee. Yeah, we'll hand the Squee. Evoke the Grief this turn, though. Lightning Bolt, Goblin Grenade, Battlecry Goblin, and Mog War Marshal. I guess I'm taking the Grenade. I don't want them to kill my Channeler. If they're just holding a Bolt, I don't have to run the Squee into it necessarily. Okay, so... Oh no, they have 2 blockers for the Squee. This should be fine. Don't think they're going to be able to deal me 16. Famous last words. If the Grief combo is what gets the Pitch Elementals banned, I won't be too sad. Okay, here's one thing... I don't know. I think that you could make like a fine argument for like wanting to ban Grief and or Fury and Solitude. I think you can make it's like a much harder argument to want to ban Endurance or Subtlety. This is like a really common thing with cycles of cards with like lots of powerful cards. It's very often like 60% of them, 40% of them are really, really good, and people are like, ban all of them, ban all of them. Most notably Companions. It just doesn't make any sense, I think, to have like Lutri and Gyruda and Zerda on the modern ban list. You don't even worry on the modern ban list. I think that Gigantha, Kihira, Lurrus, and Yorion are like really the only ones you can make great arguments for. Although I will say that I think Obosh is the perfectly designed companion. Okay, Monkey seems pretty bad on the draw here. Yeah, Urokroxa, yeah. Yeah, Karuga, too. Yeah, we're gonna have Karuga on the modern ban list. I guess Calibrated Blast plays it, huh? Amori's gonna be the best one. I like Amori a lot, but like I think that in the context of Modern, at least, Obosh is like that perfect power level of like good payoff with like actually real deck building restrictions where you know, of course, very often Luris didn't really have any deck building restrictions at all. Yorion does have real deck building restrictions, but they're probably not as harsh as most people would like. I think I'll keep a Heat. It feels like in the Obosh decks you're always sacrificing some slots, but for like very interesting payoff. Just get rid of the mechanic. Yeah, but that's also the thing. Just get rid of the companion mechanic. Like, unironically, cards like Lutri, Umori, Karuga, Obosh, Gyruda, like these are like very perfect power level for the mechanic. I think are good and interesting in the context of Modern. They show up not very often. They show up in non-tier decks, and they're a good way to power up less popular options. And and it like your hatred of a mechanic is not a good reason to like advocate for a banning. You know what I mean? It's just like not a good argument, because there are plenty of mechanics to hate. There are plenty of mechanics that are poorly designed, and your hatred of it is just not a good cohesive argument in a format where you need to have like something more than I hate this mechanic, let's get it banned. You say this as a Fury 2 creatures? Ah, yes. My evil nature's my evil nature shining through. My 2 for 2 against goblins. Format ruined, huh? This Fury makes friend strategies playable. Well, so Fury is a bit different from like the companion. I would say that the incarnations, my arguments for like keeping them around, it's kind of like the complete opposite of the companions, where instead of Fury, Solitude, Grief, Subtlety, making friend strategies playable, they're all like definitely safety valves against really specific strategies. And like to the people that want the incarnations banned, like I just like what do you say to the just like the like almost like unarguable fact that if any of the incarnations were banned, with like I think the exception of if Fury or Solitude or Endurance were banned, I guess mostly Fury and Solitude, but if Fury and Solitude were banned, which are the best two, then decks like Amulet Titan, Hammer Time, Affinity, Elves, all become like cards that, or strategies that you're actually like actively watching to see if like you need to ban something, or these are all strategies that are like incredibly dangerous and very hard to defeat. You know what I mean? Like all of the incarnations, like the design behind them is that they are safety valves for the formats, and you can dislike that, you can dislike them, you can think that they weren't well designed, but it is true if you ban Fury and Solitude, then all of a sudden like you lack those safety valves against Hammer Time. Like Hammer Time in a world without Solitude is scary. Titan in a world without Solitude is scary. I think you can make a better argument for banning Fury because Solitude like would still exist, but I was also playing a lot of Elves last week, and I was like only losing to decks with Fury in them. I was like overrunning like everything else, it felt like. And like having those checks and balances in Modern are important. Maybe Fury is like too much of a check, but it's at least my opinion, you know. I want to call Fury a safety valve. I think it's hard to not say like that's the design of Fury. Fury's into format to give insulation against small creature decks. I think that there was already like enough insulation against small creature decks probably. I think that like without Fury, small creature decks probably aren't thriving. I think that like is a fine consideration. Fury is also like a bit better against other strategies than some of the other incarnations are, for sure. I'm not saying Fury is a perfectly designed card. I'm not saying that Fury is designed as is perfectly designed as is, but that is like the idea of having these cards in the format, you know. Okay, on the draw, new matchup. I think I'm putting back Ragavan, number 2, and Bauble. unban Jitte. I mean, so the unban Jitte crowd, it's like Hammer Time is already a tier 1 deck, and you just want to like give Hammer Time like a really big upgrade like that. I don't know. It just didn't seem like a good like metagame decision. Or like, this is also really important to note, chat. We always have this conversation whenever we're talking about bans on bans, and I don't know, we're talking about these every day, but I think that you should have a different philosophy when managing your ban list, unbanning something compared to banning it. Like, I think you have to think that unbanning something is going to make like an actively positive change, because like the opportunity cost, like leaving something on the ban list is like really low, where you just are like not shaking player confidence by leaving something on the ban list, you know. Whereas whenever a ban happens in Modern, it is like, you know, a feel bad moment for a lot of players. It shakes confidence in the format, and you have to like be very confident that you're like when you ban something, like you have to be very sure that you want it gone. Because also like you just shouldn't be like bringing things back willy-nilly, you know. Yeah, but for the most part, I feel like the unban like thoughts, like obviously like it's reasonable to have like opinions on a lot of them, but a lot of the like unban this card, unban that card, it's like I am bored and I like this card, I want it legal. Is like I think most unban arguments are I'm bored, I want changes to happen, I like this card, I want to unban this card. Which is, you know, fine to have that opinion, but it's also like not the kind of opinion you should like actually make changes on. Hand bottom exile. I was actually talking to Brad about MH2 and like his work on the set over the weekend. He said a few things about okay, so hold on, I don't know if I'm supposed to say. Oh yeah, I'm actually not supposed to say. Okay, never mind, we weren't having any conversations. I mean, him and Sam have talked about the design and stuff. I guess I don't want to say any like specific things that they haven't brought up, you know. You know what I mean? Like it's just like small like the way the cards were designed over the years, or over like the stage. Like there was like some really ridiculous versions they were in at some points, but I shouldn't say if they haven't said. You know what I mean? Yeah. He also mentioned how ridiculous the squirrels were. And I remember like I read Sam's article about the topic, and I remember like I honestly, it's been a long time, I can't remember like most of the details that were in that article, but I remember it being very interesting. I remember Doomsday and Caracas almost came to the format. Yeah, Expressive Iteration was top 4. Okay, so this is my personal opinion on Iteration. Is I think Wizards had no idea how good Iteration was going to be. Obviously, like the evidence that at one point it looked at 4 cards instead of 3 is ridiculous. But listen, if they knew it was going to be a Legacy, Modern, Pioneer staple, it would have been a Mystical Archive. They absolutely would have made it a Mystical Archive. But they didn't. I think they probably like intended to be like, you know, like standard card, or like, you know, more French card, but oh, did my opponent keep a one-lander? I think Tainted Pack would be too good for Modern. Dude, the historic Tainted Pack deck was awesome. I loved to watch Squat Chief play that deck. Probably not too good for Modern, but I'm not sure. We played Goblin Storm this morning. I don't know how big the demand was. It's, you know, it's kind of like, you know, F&M hero deck, you know what I mean? We might play more, we might not. To be fair, Expressive Iteration power is innocuous. Yeah, I agree. Although, like, I feel like, you know, not that I get everything right, but Iteration was definitely one I feel like I got right, and I was like playing it with like in an hour of set release in Prowess, and it was nuts. It was awesome. I was like, this card's gonna be nuts, and it was, you know, not that I get everything right, but this is definitely one I think I got right. You have a Chalice? Okay. kind of fine. The old 5 damage Dismember. So let's go Hand Grief bottom, Exile Fury, and I think I'm just going to go Dress Down Fury. Pitch one of these useless red cards. Oh, I can also put a Grief into play. Let's do it. Let's be bad. Let's be bad, actually. let's just go nuts. I don't think I've ever dressed down to the 3 incarnations before. You only really would ever do it in a situation like this, where there's Chalice at 1 in play. Yeah, I guess, you know, they have 2 Waterlogged Groves, or I guess they only had 1, but... I think Merfolk should be thrilled that Fury is not answering their creatures, you know? They should be happy with this. The problem with iteration is that you play the card so they cast the card. Yeah, so if it didn't hit lands, it'd be like super reasonable. It could probably hit C4 cards even then. Yeah, these Groves are pretty tough because if they tap 1, then they can't take a full hit from the Fury. GG? Question mark? Cool. This Chalice is pretty tough. That is something else about Rakdos. They have more answers for Chalice, or, you know, I don't have any at the moment. Could obviously play like Explosives or Hidetsugu Consumes All, Kolaghan's Command, something like that. Instead, I think I'm just going to Grief up a little bit. Go down on some Channelers. Tinder's pretty bad against the Trickster too. I don't hate this hand. Ragavan turn 1 is actually really good against Merfolk usually. Yeah, Ingot Chewer is interesting. You obviously can play it. I feel like maybe it's like a little lost in the sauce, like a little bit like smarty farty. I think Squee's good. I've been playing Squee in a bunch of lists. I've liked it. I really want to circle back to this. It might be a good day to do this also, but red black sack with the like this was a deck we were winning a ton with pre-Image 2. Like we had like nearly an 80% win rate after like 8 leagues or something. I just like haven't played it since then. But I also think Squee is better in this list than Kroxa, where you again, you don't have that dead mana, and then you're making a lot of creatures to stack to your bombardments and stuff. I do think you're interested in like 1 escape card. I think it works like about as well with Village Rites and Rebirth, or at least Village Rites as Kroxa. Rebirth is obviously better with Kroxa. Kind of hoping to draw a black card here actually, but this will have to do. I think I'll pitch my second iteration. So you have Subtlety, which is fine. I'll just put this on top, and then am I interested in trading Ragavan for Tideshaper? I don't think so. I'm just going to want to keep that in play for the Fury next turn. But I thought this deck was great. It had a problem with the Hammer Time matchup, and so one thing I was also thinking about doing is... Okay, so I was having a really hard time, like, just beating Sanctifier and Vec, obviously, and so my plan was to play, like, a lot of answers to Sanctifier and Vex. So I was playing like all these pirate spell bombs and stuff, but then when I was playing all these spell bombs, I just like lost to their normal plan. So like I wonder if it would be better to just play like 4 Hidetsugu Consumes All on the sideboard. Hidetsugu is just so good against Hammer. Probably not best to play 4. I don't know. The Ingot Chewers are also kind of dopey. Maybe do something like 3 Hidetsugu, 2 pirate spell bomb or something instead of this split. Hawkman, 25 months. Thank you. Yeah, it's a long time. Time does fly, huh? My opponent attacks the Mutavault. Am I trading Ragavan for Mutavault here? I have a second Ragavan in the hand, so that makes it kind of interesting, but it's also true that with me being stuck on mana... Oh, sorry, I can't even trade because they have the Hexcatcher. What I'm talking about. Never mind, no thoughts here. Oh, I was also thinking about cutting the Dauthi Voidwalkers from the sideboard, where the living in matchup just like turns out is good. The living in matchup just good, I think, with all the sack outlets and stuff. That and like, you know, Dredge is making a comeback, or at least it was making a comeback before I left. I don't know if that's like, I don't think I want all these Voidwalkers for that. Obviously, Voidwalker's like okay against Titan, but like maybe just play like the 4th Magus, and then you have like a lot of equity against Titan. Okay, so I mean, if their last 2 cards are Subtlety blue card, that's fine. We just get to keep going, or we get to, you know, do this again next turn. Okay, it is. Brady, 25 months? Yeah, 25 months of scamming, huh? Alright, pass back. Then Rice with the 10. So many resubs. Thank you, everybody. Splash White, play March. Your rag deck, you'll figure it out. And then we're going to do something like cut 2 Blackcleave Cliffs for 2 fetch lands. Probably cut these second Graven Cairns 2 for the fetchable target. I mean, you might have to cut a Den of the Bugbear also, but, you know, it's maybe fine. Am I more interested in Godless Shrine or Sacred Foundry? I think you only play 1. It's like Crabvine? Okay, also not a lot of hate for the Crabvine deck, huh? Chaos 18 months, thank you. 8 months in, still no expansion explosion. Yeah, you just have to wait a little bit longer, huh? Any day now we'll play Crabvine on the channel. Well, that was a really bad glimpse. What the hell? That was like the worst glimpse I've ever seen out of this deck. Drown seems okay to have access to here. I think I'll take it. And then let's prioritize getting some counters on this, and then crack the Bauble now. So I have more option for Surveil. I don't know if I want Godless Shrine or Sacred Foundry more. I think I'll do a Sacred Foundry. And then do 1 Arid Mesa. No, let's do yeah, let's do 3 Marsh Flats. So we can get our swamp more easily against Blood Moon decks. And then it also lets us get like Sacred Foundry into basic swap more often, which is somewhat relevant. Okay, definitely want to get another point of toughness on this. So let's discard the iteration for Delirium. And go down to 1 copy of Den of the Bugbear and 1 copy of Graven Cairns. And the fetch ones are obviously nice with the Devil too. Okay, so we'll attack. I guess I should actually have Upkeep Drowned on the Angler, because I don't want them to cast another Angler. Although maybe I would rather counter like Otherworldly Gaze, or no, we'll just play another Angler. Obviously hoping to find something a bit flooded, and this isn't really something for next turn. Probably put that in the graveyard. Told you, 4 months. Not expecting Goblin Storm earlier. Yeah, that would be like a fun thing to come back to. Not really too much more than that, really. Okay, so this is 8 white sources. Maybe we should just go up 1 even beyond that. I wonder if we could just play 2 swamps. Well, 2 swamps is so bad with all the Malakir Rebirths, though. The white is going to be for sideboard Prismatic Ending, which I think is just like a better answer to Hammer Time, because it's like, you know, the card that deals with both Sanctifier and Vec, and then also like the rest of their deck too. Bloodghast and Crawler are traditionally good matches with Goblin Bombardment, ... I'm not sure exactly like what point you're trying to make. We have 4 Bloodghast in this deck. I'm not playing any Grave Crawler because I have no other zombies. I've played a lot of this deck. I've played like 8 or 9 leagues with like nearly an 80% win rate. It was like 80% until the last league, which we 3-2'd. Okay, I think I'm going to play an Urborg over the Cairns, although then I can't go swamp into double red. Yeah, I need that actually. I'll work on this tomorrow. We'll play the game. Adam, 4 months. Thank you. 2 Vengevines in the yard is kind of scary, but I think we're going to be able to erase it. I don't really actually see much point in dashing the Ragavan where it doesn't change the clock. I think just an extra blocker is probably better. There's a legacy deck, tier 2 called Zombardment. ... I don't understand the ... dots. I'm familiar with Zombardment. The Sam Black worked a lot on the deck, if I remember correctly, and it was definitely an archetype that I liked. I just don't. I don't think that this Gravecrawler fits in this archetype specifically that we're working on, the Rakdos deck. I am playing for Bloodghast. But it's also like, yeah, I'm familiar. I'm just not sure like what point you're trying to make, if that makes sense. Okay. They had a 3rd Vengevine. I don't lose to just a 3rd Vengevine, though. This can block 1 and heat another. Yeah, Crabvine and Dredge have both been making a comeback somewhat. Which, like, you know, for in a lot of ways, like, the 4-color Omnath deck, you know, it's a strategy that has, like, a lot of natural predators that are, like, absent from the ecosystem. And, like, Dredge and Crabvine are definitely 2 decks that are great against that archetype. I think I'll trim a Squee and a Ragavan. I think I kind of want, like, to try to find, like, to play 8 fetch lands, 1 white source. Maybe I'm just taking the channel lands out of the deck. Okay, I'll take the Takanuma out. The Sokazon's pretty good, though. And then I think a second Graven Cairns is really important for turns where you go turn 1 Malakir Rebirth. You want a double red spell in turn 2, which happens like more often than you think. So maybe we could just cut a Den. Squee is kind of like your new Den of the Bugbear, huh? You still have Tomb, which I think is really good, and Sokazon. Maybe I want to. Maybe you can play one. Maybe we'll play 1 Den over the second Cairns. And the fetch lands are, you know, obviously good with Mayhem Devil too, so it's not like you're losing just tons and tons of utility with this change. Although, okay, so I have 6 fetch lands, fetchables for 8 targets. That's fine. I would kind of like a second Swamp, but if I'm playing a second Swamp, I think I'm not playing 4 Malakir Rebirth. In this list, isn't Croxa better because you want it for both Fury and Grief? I mean, I think that one number in either this deck or that one, whichever one we're talking about here, it doesn't matter that much. Okay, I'm going to try to keep this in Surveillance of Fury for and red card for Undying Malice. I don't think it matters that much. It's just like 1 card count number. That is, in my opinion, not a good enough reason pitching to like Grief and not Fury. Or, yeah, no, not both, rather. It's something, but it's like by itself it's not enough. And then here Squee is like, I think just like largely better because of the bombardment plan. I think you just want to play 1, but I found you another Malakir Rebirth type. Well, Village Rites is that other Malakir Rebirth type. In theory, at least. Okay, there's the red card. In theory. And then our Village Rites obviously like also works with Unlucky Witness and like the rest of the shell. Oh, there's the Fury. Okay, so let's wait on this extra bauble. Yeah, the white source can be first. I need to put the endings in the sideboard already. But they're for Prismatic Ending in the sideboard because I think that's a better way to hedge against Hammer Time. And of all of the... Oh, we can also play Silence in the sideboard too. Which is only good against Cascade decks, not Creativity. And you're good against... Actually, you're already kind of good against like both Living End and Rhinos, I think. I think I'm cutting the Voidwalkers too. I wasn't like in love with them. Why is Lucy always streaming during streams? She likes to sleep. She likes to hang out. Stay up all night. Carlos, thank you for Twitch Prime. Appreciate you. Is Silence better than EE? I think they do very different things. Have you ever considered Claim Fame over Earth for not playing Mayhem Devil version? I mean, I'm like basically never not playing a Mayhem Devil version, but... I would consider it. Okay, they're not playing into the Fury, it seems. Let's graveyard this for Delirium. Probably should have shuffled first, but I think I am just going to get the double striking 4/4 into play and get Delirium, and I can also like maybe Undying Malice the Fury after a block or something if they do go kind of crazy. But they're okay. They just concede. Awesome. Cool to beat that deck with no graveyard hate. I know it was like very powerful, but weak to a lot of hate cards. It doesn't get to play a lot of hate cards, if that makes sense. Kind of like that axis. That's the right word. Hopefully Fury's good. Any more thoughts on 4-color Emrakul deck? I like the deck. I want to play more of it. Just haven't, I guess. What are the best cyber cards against Scam? My deck struggles against the mono black coffers. Well, what specifically are you struggling with as coffers? Is it Blood Moon? Because like you're playing against Blood Moon as coffers. Is to just like build a lower to the ground version with Karn, I think. And just like, get a bunch of swamps in play. Damnation maybe is something that would help, but I guess the rebirths are potentially tricky. Yeah, my trip to Portland already happened. I'm really scared of Kaldra. I think I'm gonna go for this, which feels bad because I don't have like anything else going, but because I have found that the creativity matchup is not so bad with this deck. Like a lot of times you're like just racing it, but I would prefer to have like some... Oh, Spell Pierce is really nice here. Just getting to like actually trade this for a card. In my opinion, when is Bant Company well positioned? I like it when Hammer Time is playing less Hushbringers. They're playing a lot of Hushbringers now, it seems, or at least like I keep running into it. It's when Tron is not popular. It's also a strategy I like a lot. You should have let the damage happen first. I mean, no, right? Like what situation does it ever matter here? Like I know that like you are supposed to. That is how you're supposed to always sequence it, but like I do this dumb thing that doesn't actually matter. But I do this dumb thing where if it doesn't matter, if the order, if we're on a board where stacking first or last doesn't matter, I stack it the opposite way so that my opponents in later turns might think I'll make a mistake. You know what I mean? And they might play in a way expecting me to stack it the opposite way, which is like, again, dumb and like not like a good like strategy, but it is something I do. Okay, so they have a hammer in their hand. They can't attack. If I attack, I deal 8 to this, and I rebirth for another 4 damage, and this will have 14 toughness, though, so it's not enough. Am I squeeing here? I guess. Just squee attack, rebirth the Fury, put them to 3. Right, it's 8. Yeah, it's not enough. Yeah, but I'll do that kind of sequence. I'll do that kind of sequencing. Mostly what I remember too. But I should have let them cast the hammer here, obviously. But they're gonna cast the hammer. But I'll do that kind of thing. Like I'll sequence it the correct way until it doesn't matter. Or if it doesn't matter, I do it the opposite way, just to like try to trick them a little bit. But you get like almost no percentage points, and it doesn't really matter. Okay. So they're at 3 life. They are not in a position they can attack unless they draw a hammer or a shadow spear. And I can put them to 1 with the squee and escape again if I want to. There's some outs also. Okay, them drawing 2 blockers is a pretty interesting dynamic. I imagine that they are going to attack with the chip now. And then I can attack with just squee. Leave back my goblin blocker if I don't draw anything relevant. That is something relevant. Although I think I would rather keep my menace and creature in play when they're at 3 life than plan on chump blocking the chip with it. I think Sigard is 8 isn't healthy for the format. In my opinion, it does too much for too little and is designed to break an archetype of sub-cards. I think Sigard is 8 is fine. I think that Hammer Time is the type of strategy that it's an archetype that's like relatively new in the history of Modern, but this kind of like linear artifact based aggro deck and linear pump spell deck has always been a huge part of Modern's identity, in either Infect or Affinity. And these two strategies that were at one time really competing for metagame share have now kind of married in my mind, and I think it's like nice and good that these 2 decks coexist together in Modern now. I think it's sideboarding against them. That being said, they are capable of some bullshit draws, but also if you're playing a linear creature-based aggro deck in Modern, that's with artifact synergies, you're not going to be winning without a degree of bullshit in the Solitude format, you know what I mean, the Force of Vigor format. I don't love this handle the draw against Hammer. I think I'm going to keep. It has a lot of draws that are crazy, and is also fine at least. Okay, so terminating the Giver to stop their protection card, obviously, but to also... Ooh. Okay, so now I'm just going to play Shredders to play around... This plays around protection spells really well, and so if they go in on Hammer on the Giver, then we have Terminate, hopefully. They don't have a protection spell. And if they don't go in on the Hammer on the Giver this turn, then we can go Evoke Fury, Feign Death, pay for Spell Pierce. If we so like. And if they have it all, if they have double hammer, good beats, right? Ooh, okay. Another red card's pretty nice. Could have maybe played a second Shredder first, but I might just want to connive a Shredder away. Although with them just doing nothing, yeah, we'll just discard the Heat. I want to keep the Dress Down around. Play the Shredder. Attack first, I guess. Path my Fury. Okay, so do have another basic. Leave the Delta in hand for Connive, just down to answer the Saga tokens. Feeling like we're in pretty good shape. Maybe I should have like let them get a hammer here potentially, but I'm like a little bit worried about drum, like letting them cast something nice, and they did get the drum anyway, so I guess that worked out. I think Blue-White Control is actually really good. I haven't been playing it a ton, but I did play it on stream a little bit the other day with Leyline Binding, and I thought it was very strong. Excited to play some more of it too. Excuse me, need some water. Probably just like not gonna get it like usual though. So I keep looking at this at the sack deck, and I am liking the changes. I want to try to play a second swamp in the deck, and I want to like think of. We have a lot of extra sideboard slots now that I've decided that I think you do want to not play the first. And so like I'm kind of like I think the fourth Magus is probably fine, where Titan is just like such a scary matchup. And then I think you could do something like play Hallowed Moonlight. I think that I'm interested in like 6 sideboard cards for Hammer Time though, where that's just like definitely the matchup that needs the most hedging. So you could play like 2 Hidetsugu Consumes Alls, 2 Wear Tears. I think I probably want to play the Hidetsugu Consumes All. Maybe even 3 of them. Just go crazy. Mana Leak, wow. Okay, let me just terminate this construct now so that so I can connive away these 2 lands. Then crack the Bauble now so that if they cast 2 spells, I have more selection on my connives. Ooh. Scary card. Right on time, Alpine Moon. Right on time. White needs more counter spells. Loot away 2 lands. Stuck with 2 lands in hand anyways. They get around to testing goblins some more. We played like the Goblin Storm kind of for fun deck earlier today. I haven't played any more of the regular goblins though yet. I haven't been playtesting. I've been out of town recording with the professor and Amy and Brad. It was really fun. I was playtesting this like the night before we left, or not this, the Goblin Storm deck. And I've had this ready to go for a little bit too. Yeah, Murktide has been falling out of favor a lot. I think like a lot of it is Leyline Binding, but also like, you know, Murktide's kind of like been mid. Grief on top. Grief is actually really nice here because it's like a blocker for the construct and gets the paladin out of the hand. Yeah, we did see Mind, or I saw Mind Goblin. My Twitter was blown up with Mind Goblin as soon as it got spoiled. How often do you build sideboards by imagining number of cuts you'd want for a matchup and finding replacements for those? I find that that's always how it ends up. It ends up, and like a lot of times I'll start that way as well, but like Modern just has like so many moving pieces. I usually find it hard to like start building your sideboard that way, if that makes sense. But eventually, it does become that. You just perfectly plan out all your sideboarding. Okay, so we attack with both. They chump block, go to 4. They're dead to the birds next turn. Grief blocks here, so they need to top deck a blocker, a flying blocker, so Ornithopter, Shadow Spear. Wait, why didn't they didn't chump block? Shadow Spear, Stoneforge Mystic, or Ornithopter? Oh, it lost flying. Okay, I didn't realize that. Weird interaction. Hopefully we read them instead of just feeling smart for buying the books. And And it was really cool just like walk around. It was like it was a crazy bookstore. And then we walked over to Mox, and downtown Portland is not a place I would recommend walking downtown. There was just like a tweaker on every single corner. They were like, you know, it's obviously like very sad, but you know, not a place I'd recommend walking downtown. I've walked around a lot of downtowns. This was one of the sketchiest. It's like the only downtown I've ever been down that's like more sketchy than Portland was Minneapolis. I don't know if it was just like the time of year I was there, but Minneapolis was crazy. Sounds like Dallas. Yeah, Dallas has those areas too, but it's also like I know Dallas a bit better, so I'm like maybe a little bit more in tune with where to be and where to not be. Okay, let's hold up the Feign Death here. But it's like obviously like homeless people exist in every single city in America. It's a huge problem. We have a housing crisis. It's a whole, you know, you could talk forever about it. But like at least in like Portland, like people were like just it's like 2 p.m. on a Monday and people are just drugged out of their mind on every single street corner. You know what I mean? It was like a pretty different dynamic. Let's actually go for the double block here. Lightning Bolt of the Shredder. So I think we just Feign Death the Shredder. One cool thing would be if they like if they did something else pre-combat, then with the Shredder would just like survive the bolt. I guess it would have to be response to this. Perfect. Yeah, this is a I think a big mess up from them actually. Oh, Stubborn Denial. Okay. Okay, wow, that worked out really well for them then. Well played. I feel like we haven't drawn many Unholy Heats today, but maybe we'll find one here. Graveyard that. Okay, I guess we just go hand iteration, bottom, exile a Shredder that we can't play, and pass back. Garci, 4 months, thank you. Why did they lightning bolt when it killed without a spell? They lightning bolted my Ragavan. They bolted my Ragavan. Did we block a 5/5 with 4 power? I guess it was a 4/4 when they attacked, and they had the ability to fetch. But yeah, I guess the double block was not correct, huh? I just blocked with so much confidence that they fell into it, I guess. Alright, Delirium. Need to find some removal. There's some removal. And bottom. Exile. Kill the Kavu. Graveyard the Grieve. I mean, I could have also I could have cast an Undying Malice on... No, I only had 1 mana. Never mind. Yeah. Just a punt. I haven't worked on Lutri in a long time. Okay, I think I'm gonna cut this. I'm gonna add the second swamp for the Graven Cairns. It's either that or the Tomb of Arami. I just can't bring myself to cut the tomb, but it might be correct too. It's 9 white sources for like very important sideboard white card. Plus like maybe Ragavan sometimes. 16 red sources for Unlucky Witness Ragavan, which is fine. Lots of black mana. More resilience to Blood Moon now. Can cast Bloodghast Grief through Blood Moon, and you're going to be able to find your vegetable swamps more often. You know, I think I actually want to leave Squee on defense this game, so that I can not just die to Tribal Flames here. Play around Mana League. I don't know. People play Mana League now. What's up?
I'm going to the gym.
Just looking for Lucy. Yeah, they've been playing a lot of Nikado in this Domain Zoo deck. I mean, Nikado's not a bad card. Maybe not a good card, but... okay, Riveteer's Charm for Stubborn Denial, Neshoba Brawler, and Flooded Strand. But it's like, it's just not a card that fits in like very many decks. Has like way more deck building restrictions than like Ragavan or Channeler, right? Is Squee like Din of the Bugbearer with Escape? I mean, it's like that, but it's also just like not a land, so it's kind of different. White green. Okay, I also have one more sideboard slot I need to fill here. Oh, also the swamps make the Magus plan a bit better too. I could do something like I could play like 2 Magus, 2 Blood Moon, and then that gives me like 2 Blood Moons I can bring in matchups like Scape Shift and stuff. Or maybe I even do like 3 Blood Moon, because Scape Shift seems like a hard matchup. 2 Magus, 3 Blood Moon. Okay, block the Tribal Flames, right? Just escape it. Silence or Chalice on the side. Yeah, 1 Chalice would probably be pretty fine. The thing is, I just like my Cascade matchups a lot. Oh, sorry. So I like my Living In matchup. I don't like my Rhinos matchup. Sorry, Rhinos is usually pretty tough, but like 1 Chalice doesn't change it that much. And then Hidetsugu Consumes All helps this Rhinos matchup incidentally too, which is nice. Okay, nothing going on anymore. So I guess we have to Squee. Never to Squee. So have to defensive Squee again, although now we could Undying Malice the Squee, but we're 1 damage short of lethal next turn. The main matchup for the Hidetsugu is Hammer Time. Hammer Time has just been like nightmare matchup really. And then like, you know, funny enough, in like Modern in 2020, like Scape Shift is like a real deck to be considering your sideboard cards for, and so like I do think like having Blood Moon over Magus makes a lot of sense. We kind of learned that lesson a bit earlier today too. We could maybe even just play 4 Blood Moon, 0 Magus. Okay, we're dead here. Brawler's pretty big, huh? Modest, all the raids today. Thank you so much, Modest. Big raid. Welcome everybody from Modest channel. We're playing the Grixis take on the Rakdos scam list right now, and then I think we're gonna be playing an updated version of the Sacrifice deck that I was liking a lot pre Dominaria and just haven't really returned to. We're up against playing for a 4-1 with this list. We're up against Domain, and need to make some cuts. I think I'm okay trimming 4th Bauble, especially when the dress downs get in. I think I'm okay trimming a couple copies of Grief, 1 of the Malices, and a Monkey. Monkey gets a little outclassed. Can we consider Hidetsugu Consumes All for Gen Saga? It's really bad with Tarmogoyf. If Rhinos and Hammer are hard, you should make E the 15th card. Wow. I mean, I currently have 7 sideboard cards for Hammer, so I'm like, obviously, if I was looking for another card for Hammer, I'd be more interested in like 4th Hidetsugu Consumes All probably, but I'm not looking for another card for that matchup specifically. I'm thinking about maybe just playing 4 Blood Moon and no Magus, and then this way like we're more teched for Scape Shift, which is funny enough just like a real conversation now. I really wish Innocent Blood was modern legal. I think you need the Terminates for the Murktide matchup. They come in some other spots too. Murktide matchup is pretty good with the Terminates, pretty tough without. Let's keep this and hope that they are on an early Territorial Kavu, and maybe hope that we draw a black card as well. Yeah, Innocent Blood would be pretty good. This Scape Shift gets something new. No, it's just like been like pretty well positioned for a long time. I think where it gets to play like a lot of cheap interaction, it gets to have like a really low mana curve with like the way that the lists are currently built, and it also gets to be very good against 4-color, because 4-color just like folds hard to like any combo deck, to be honest. Especially like land-based combo decks. Maybe I do like this 3 Blood Moon, 2 Magus split, or maybe yeah, I think I like this split. You could play like 1 Chalice. You could do a lot of different stuff with the spot. You could play something else. But I think this is like a good draft at least. Kavu, awesome. You'll love to see it. Okay, so I could pitch Grief, Malakir, Rebirth, Grief. But I think I'm instead just going to hold up Drown this turn and then hardcast Grief next turn. Yeah, you can play Silence. I've actually like never lost to 4-color Omnath with this deck. I'm like, I don't think I've never lost to it. I think I'm like 4 or 5-0 against it. Blue-White Control I think is a good matchup too. I don't think Boyle's a card I'm that interested in. You know, with linear decks like this one, like the Sacrifice deck, I do think it's really important to just be like, I don't need to sideboard in every matchup, especially like those kind of fair matchups. And I just having like a super efficient sideboard where you have like Hated Sugu consumes all for like, I guess theoretically Dredge, but mostly Hammer Time Rhinos. You have Blood Moon for Scapeshift Magus Titan. You have Terminate for Murktide, and it can come in like against Hammer Time. You have Prismatic Ending for mostly just Hammer Time. I think that this is like just fine. We could play like a Stony Silence too, I guess, but I don't even think that's like that good of a way to fight that matchup, you know. Okay, we can cast the Grief, I think, here. 2 Lightning Bolts and a Charm. Okay, take the Charm. They're going to bolt my Ragavan, hit me with Ragavan. Rest in Peace it stops not your entire plan, but stops your Witness Death Trigger, Bloodghast, and Undying or Malakir Rebirths, which is I think enough to not want to play that card. Maybe I could have instepped this so they're not going to hit me with Ragavan. I'm kind of hoping to find an untapped land here. Although I guess just not going to give me that option, huh? Could evoke the Fury for no value, quote unquote, but instead I think I'll just discard the Heat, take the hit from the Ragavan again, and set up to hardcast the Fury next turn. I was going to play this to be able to do that if I didn't draw land. Just get hit by the Ragavan, it's easy. Hopefully they played a Shoba Brawler, kill 2 creatures. Instead just Giganta in hand. Get my last Shockland out of the deck. Terminate can deal with Giganta if I needed to. Not for blue-white for any deck that uses Dryad. I mean, I would rather have 5 moon effects before the first Boil for this deck, for the Magus, for the Titan matchup, which is like, I guess like it also comes in against Scapeshift, but it's also true like with Blood Moon, like I can, if I want to, I can bring in Blood Moon against like decks like Grixis Shadow, Jun Saga, Creativity. I can bring in Blood Moon against Creativity, which Magus is not good in those matchups because they play all the red removal. You know what I mean? But then, like, you know, you kind of get the best of both worlds if you dedicate that many sideboard slots to it, which it does kind of feel like the main things you're missing. With, like, Voidwalker not being that important for the sideboard plan like I kind of originally thought. I could have maybe Malakir Rebirth instead. I think I like just putting them dead to a 1-turn clock, though, and... Yeah, but I don't think that... I do think, like, 1 Boil is fine. You could do a lot of things with the sideboard slot. You could play a Obnixilis for, like, the burn matchup, you know. The world's pretty much your oyster. Okay, hold this for Shredder, right? Leyline of Void. Well, the thing is, like, you're living in a matchup as sacrifice decks is usually really good because you can just, like Mayhem Devil and Goblin Bombardment are both very, very good against living in, so you have, like, a very reasonable chance to win game 1, and, you know, sideboard games as well, of course, and so... because of that, I had Voidwalkers in the sideboard, like, largely for the living in matchup, and it could come in some other spots, but I think, like, Blood Moon does that a bit better. You can also bring in, you know, the moon effects against living in, too. Okay. Just heat that now, I guess. Before they can untap with blue mana. Not that they would have tapped like this if they had Stubborn Denial, I guess. Sorry, I'm rinsing the next deck. Dash the monkey. I guess we'll take an Expressive Iteration. Concedes. Alright. Game 3. think on the draw I'm gonna cut the Squee. Slow. I don't know why these domain decks started to play Expressive Iteration. It's so bad if it gets hit by Ragavan. I only play bad cards so that they don't get hit by Ragavan. My Hollow One Believer? I had a Hollow One deck that I liked earlier this year when Ledger Shredder came out. Let's mulligan this. Keep this one, put back Swamp. Hope. Yeah, it would have been nice to go to like a local game store, but they're just like, you know, it wasn't time, you know. You will live, Ledger Shredder, you're going to live. Exiled instead. Why couldn't they just have been on 2 territorial Kavus, huh? Why'd they have to be on 2 good cards? Okay, so let me go, I guess, just cast Ragavan, pass. I did go to Mox, but I wasn't like going to play or anything. I just like swung by to have a drink for like an hour, you know. I guess I did go to a local game store. Kavu. Please play a territorial Kavu. And then also don't have Stumber Denial, and then I have to draw like Fury. Maybe just drawing Fury. Maybe that's the thing I should be hyper focused on, huh? Yes. Okay, step 1. We didn't play Commander, so we played I guess still kind of a secret format, but it's like it's a unique format for the Binding on Dress Down. Is it a bit too ambitious? Maybe. Maybe, huh? Although not like the binding was still been pretty good. Yeah, I guess let it resolve first was better. So I can go terminate a Scion, chump block, go to 2. I can terminate the Kavu, attack, and then hope to draw something like Fury. I don't know, it's not gonna happen. Yeah, I mean, I guess that if I draw like exactly Fury, I could do this. Okay, well, never mind. Tough stuff. Sorry, believers. Sorry, believers. I feel like playing against the domain deck is always like the gameplay is always really good though. Maybe not that exact game, but it's always pretty good. So like punting, I think we would have still lost though. We would have definitely still lost. Okay, so let's.